Tyler Thomas with EXP Realty. I'm here with Kevin Sliker of Movement Mortgage. Today we're going to cover the 3 things that you should know if you're looking to buy a home right now. So first off, Kevin, do you want to tell us a little about who you work for and about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a licensed loan officer with Movement Mortgage. I've been licensed for going on 4.5, 5 years. I'm licensed in the state of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and California, and kind of work the spectrum in terms of home loans. So anything that's 1 to 4 units. If you're self-employed, if you're W-2'd, kind of run the gamut of different loan programs. So yeah.
Awesome. Speaking of multi-units, do you want to tell us a little bit about the changes to the multifamily home buying right now?
Yes. So there was a change recently that basically states if you're looking to purchase a 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit property, as long as you occupy one of the units, you could do as little as 5% down. The reason why this is a huge deal is because historically you would be at the 15 to 25% down, depending on how many units it was and if you occupied or not. But now if you're looking at multifamily property and you occupy one of the units, you can do as little as 5% down.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a huge savings.
Yeah. So house hacking is very popular. And so how can this new information help people get into a first home?
So house hacking, for those of you who don't know, is where you basically would live in one side of, let's say, a duplex, and you rent out the other side. So it's called house hacking, very cool, but people have been doing this a long time. How that helps is because before this rule change, if you were looking to do something like this, you would either have to be VA or FHA. So if you're not a veteran, then that rules out VA. So FHA, you could do as little as 3.5% down on, let's say, a fourplex. And this is huge because you would basically get in with this little tiny 3.5% down payment and then rent out those others. It's a great way to house hack. But if you went conventional, it would be a much heavier down payment. And so that really is a barrier to entry for a lot of people, especially kind of mom and pop investors.
Mm-hmm.
And so now going conventional, you can get in to a 4-unit property with 5% down. So it's just basically another option for people. And again, lowers that barrier to entry for people looking to kind of round out their investment portfolio or get into investing. In this particular case, house hacking.
So one of the things why it is so popular is you can essentially live in that property for like dang near rent free. So you buy the home, and especially with rents what they are right now. So say you live in one side, you're going to rent that other side. With the rents what you can get, that might cover most, if not all, of what your total mortgage is. So you're going to have someone stay in that second unit. You're going to live in that first, and I mean, you could be living in that unit for free. You could have that entire mortgage, your entire mortgage, paid by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go ahead and talk about the second topic for today. Do you want to talk about some of the common ways people are overcoming these higher interest rates?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, ways for buyers to be successful right now with high interest rates. I get it. Rates are not where people want them to be. But one thing that they're doing is they're doing a buy down. So I think it's common knowledge to us in the industry that the interest rate you're given isn't necessarily the interest rate that you have to have, meaning you can pay points. You can even take a higher interest rate and get a credit off your closing costs. So for first-time home buyers, they don't necessarily know this. It's not common knowledge. But yes, your loan program, the down payment, credit score, that kind of dictates where we start the interest rate conversation. And from there, that point, if let's say that starting point was 7% and you didn't like the monthly payment, you didn't like 7%, it's just kind of steep, then we can talk about doing a buy down. And the buy down could get your interest rate down to, let's say, 6.5% or maybe 6%. What that does is that saves, let's say, hundreds of dollars off your mortgage. That makes the home buying process more affordable. And the reason you would do that is because, yes, it's going to increase your closing costs, but it's a good investment. If you're going to be in the home for a long time, then it's worth it to pay $2,000, $3,000 today to lower your interest rate and save $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in interest over the life of the loan. So that's kind of one of the first conversations I'm having now, because interest rate is something that a lot of people have questions on. So just know that you can get a lower rate if you wanted to. It's just typically going to increase your closing costs if you do that. But something else that's going on right now is asking the sellers to pay for that closing cost.
Yeah, you don't have to be the person to pay for that, especially now at the market. You can go ahead and ask for those sellers to contribute that to you.
Mm-hmm. So when I was talking about like $2,000 to $3,000 to buy down your interest rate, when you write an offer on a home, you can ask the sellers, hey, I want you, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, to give me $2,000 or $3,000 towards my closing costs. And rate buy down is under the umbrella term of closing costs. And so it works. You get some money from the seller, we buy down your interest rate, and then that kind of frees you up to refinance as soon as possible when rates just kind of organically get lower. Okay, so I have a question for you now. So buyers, when they're looking at homes on Zillow, whatever, they tend to think they know what the home is worth, what it's not worth, and they always want to attack the price of the home. Okay, but me as a lender, I'm talking about buy down and things like that. It's confusing to them. So kind of explain why a seller credit might be more beneficial to a buyer right now than a price reduction would be.
For the buyer, especially even trying to get into these seller credits and things like that. So you're going to save overall more money trying to go for some seller credits than just trying to get that home for a certain price. If you are able to, get the home for $10,000 less, is it really going to make the bigger difference, or is getting that rate buy down, maybe these closing costs, get more money to you in your pocket even for other kind of things you want to do in the future? What's really going to be the best for you? And something else that, in the last couple of years when things were going for an astronomical amount is one of your saving graces is even the appraisal. So say you're getting your home and you're still nervous on the price. Your saving grace is going to be that appraisal. So is it worth it? That's going to tell you if it is or not. So say you went $30,000 over in what your offer was, and the appraiser says, it might be worth 15 over what it was. That $15,000 is going to be, either covered by you, or you can renegotiate and try to bring that back down. That's your bargaining chip. You can also renegotiate again with those sellers.
Tyler brings up a really good point. There's certain stages in the home buying process where you, as a buyer, sort of have a right to pull in the sellers and negotiate with them. One is inspections. Another big one is the appraised value, the appraisal. So if you feel like you want to negotiate price, we're kind of advocating, at least right now in this high rate environment, necessarily don't do that. We're saying maybe go in for the seller credit. And if you're still worried about the value of the home, you're still worried about price, we can still renegotiate after the appraisal comes back, which is kind of built into the process. So it's really nice. Yeah.
So just give a recap, these 3 things that you should know right now if you're looking to get into a home. Number 1 is this 5% change for multifamily. It really is probably, to me, going to be one of those things that people are going to utilize a lot going forward. Number 2 is utilizing the rate buy down and seeing how that might be able to help you in the future. And number 3,
negotiating and how you negotiating for that seller credit rather than that price reduction, which is ultimately the savvy way, the better way to do it. So those are our top 3 takeaways for the market right now today. So if you're watching this video 6 years from now, this might not apply, but for right now, tail end of 2023, these are our 3 biggest takeaways for you guys. So let us know if you need anything. If you are buying, selling, moving in the Mid-Willamette area, give Tyler or myself a call. We'd love to help you guys out.